Okay, so we are underway with the NBA offseason, and the Portland Trailblazers are trading for Jrue Holiday, and they're giving up Simons and 2 second-round picks. And I think I kind of like this deal for both sides, but I definitely like it for the Blazers, and I'm going to start with them. And it's interesting because I'm one of the most anti-Drew Holiday guys. When people were calling him the most underrated player and this, that, and the other, as a Bucks fan, I feel like he'd been massively overrated. And even right now, I don't feel like he should be worth very much based off his contract, and his age, and the way, yet again, he had a terrible showing in the playoffs when he wasn't asked to be the fifth option. With all that being said, though, with the Blazers, I think he just makes a lot of sense for them with where they're at right now, because the Blazers are a team that is not in championship mode, but is looking to take that next step. And yes, Jrue Holiday's getting overpaid, but I think they can afford to pay him because a lot of their core is not getting that big money yet. And so while their guys are still on their rookie contracts, such as a Scooter Henderson, a Shady Sharp, a Tamani Kamara, Denny Avdia is on a super team-friendly deal, their core, you're not really going to have to pay for a little while. So you can afford to overpay Jrue Holiday, and you could get him by giving up a guy who, Anfernee Simons, is getting paid less. We'll get into the specifics. We'll put them up on the screen. But he also is a guy that doesn't really fit in your core, and he's getting paid a pretty decent, handsome salary. We'll pull up his salary first. So he's getting, his contract ends sooner than Jrue Holiday, which is why the motivation for the Celtics to do it. And so I would say this is a very solid deal for the Celtics for sure. But for the Blazers, when you look at their team, Scooter Henderson seemed to finally start to figure it out about halfway through the season last year as the team started to take off. And with him, with Shady Sharp, like I said, with Tamani Kamara, with Denny Avdia, that really feels like their core. And so I think it made sense for Anfernee Simons, who kind of doesn't really fit that, to get on out of there. And Jrue Holiday to be a guy that can maybe help to continue the growth of Scooter Henderson and Shaden Sharp, and also just kind of filling the gaps with what they don't really do, which is be like lockdown defenders. Scooter Henderson has the chops, the potential to be a really good defender, but to just be a solid, stable veteran rather than Anfernee Simons, who's, he's a good bucket getter, but that's more so his focus. More so his game is, let me go get a bucket. And on a team with a bunch of guys that can go get you a bucket or like want to do that, I think it kind of had to be either him or Shaden Sharp to go. And when you're able to get a guy back that still is a very high quality defender, still can hit a catch and shoot three at a very solid level, is just a solid good dude from all accounts, I think it's very solid for them. And the West is wild West, man. But Chauncey Billups needs to get a lot more slander if they're not in the playoffs. And I'm not talking the play-in. I'm talking the playoffs. With what Denny Avdia was showing last year, with Shaden Sharp's flashes that he continues to show, Scooter Henderson, the way he started playing by the end of the year. The center's a little rough. I mean, dominating comes and goes. But you have Robert Williams still in there. And overall, this now looks, when you look back at the Damian Lillard trade, essentially they did a lot of good stuff with that Damian Lillard trade, which at first I thought, the Bucks kind of got over on them. Didn't have to give up as much as I would think for Damian Lillard. But when you look at how Damian's worked out with the Bucks, and then you look at the fact that the Blazers, they originally got Jrue Holiday in the trade, and they got picks from the Bucks, and then they traded Jrue Holiday for Robert Williams, Brogdon, and 2 first-round picks, and then they used Brogdon as part of a deal to go get Denny Avdia. And then you were, after the fact, able to just give up 2 second-round picks to go get Jrue. It's basically like you did get Jrue Holiday. You gave up 2 second-round picks, but you got 2 first-round picks. It helped you get Denny Avdia, and now you have a whole bunch of first-round picks from it. Yeah, they got over well in that Damian Lillard trade scenario, and they've got to be happy that Dame finally requested out, because I think it happened at a perfect time for their franchise. And then you look at the contract that they'll be taking on. It's 2 years longer than Anfernee Simon's contract. It's a bit more expensive, which is why the Celtics make the move. But for the reasons I said, I think they can handle it. And now for the Celtics, yeah, like I said with the Celtics, I think this is a good move for them. You're able to get off a guy that I would say is overpaid, and at his age, he's not that positive and an asset for me. I think the Blazers are one of the very few teams where I think it does make sense and it is a good move. But for the Celtics, I think you get a guy in Anfernee Simons that could be a prolific scorer, still somewhat young to where, there's room for growth and a positive winning organization. And, worst comes to worst, maybe you have a down year this year without Jason Tatum, but it'll be a weak Eastern Conference. You never know. Maybe he can really hoop for you. And if worst comes to worst, after this year, you'll have him on a 1-year deal, and you'll be able to make moves moving forward to rebuild as Tatum comes back off his injury. So I think it gives you flexibility, a guy that you can try and still develop a little bit and hope that he'll grow, whereas Jrue Holiday, is only going in one direction. And you get a couple second-round picks just to sweeten the pot, which could potentially be mid to early second-round picks with how the West is, like I said, and how I'm not so sold on Chauncey Billups as a coach. And so overall, this is, I a lot of times I have, controversial takes over the years with criticizing and, saying one team got over, one team had a terrible trade, but this is a rare time where I will legitimately say, win-win. I think I would do this if I was both GMs. Smart moves. I like it. I'd be a little bit more hesitant if I was the Blazers, but I still understand why they would do it. It makes sense for them. I would say for the Celtics, I give this one an A-, and for the Blazers, I give this one a strong B+. Very solid. Well done by both teams. But let me know what you all think. Drop a comment, hit that like, and subscribe. Only if you want to. No, subscribe, please!